He told someone he was on his way. Then he disappeared. No goodbye, no final message, no trace. But what investigated more disturbing question? Was Sam Nordquist trying to get somewhere? Or trying to get away from something? Sam Nordquist wasn't the kind of person who just vanished. He was young, independent, quietly curious about the world around him. The kind of person who didn't demand attention, but people remembered him anyway. Friends described him as calm, observant, someone who thought before he acted. He wasn't reckless. He didn't make impulsive decisions. Which is why, when he planned his trip, no one thought twice about it. Traveling wasn't unusual for Sam. He liked exploring new places, taking time to reset, to think. Sometimes he would disappear for a few days, not in a worrying way, but in a way that suggested he needed space. Time alone. Time to process things internally. But even then, he stayed connected. He replied to messages. He checked in. He never just vanished. That's what made this different. Because this time, the silence didn't feel like space. It felt like something had gone wrong. At some point during his time in New York, Sam disappeared. Not dramatically, not violently, just gone. No confirmed sightings after a certain point. No clear timeline of his final movements. No explanation. And what made it worse? There was no obvious reason for it. No known threats, no ongoing conflict, no sign that he was in danger. At least, not on the surface. When Sam stopped communicating, concern didn't immediately turn into panic. At first, it felt like a delay, a missed call, a dead phone, a temporary disconnect. People told themselves it would be fine. They always do, because the alternative feels too extreme. But hours turned into days, and silence became something much heavier. The kind of silence that makes you check your phone again, even when you know nothing has changed. Authorities began piecing together his last known movements, where he had been, who he had spoken to, what he had planned next. But the timeline didn't come together cleanly. It fractured. There were gaps, moments that should have been clear, weren't, and those gaps became the most important part of the investigation, because sometimes what's missing tells a louder story than what's present. One investigator later explained that in most cases, there's always something. A transaction, a sighting, a direction. Here, it just stopped, like a sentence cut off in the middle. And when timelines stop, investigators start asking a different kind of question. Not where did he go? But what interrupted him? Because people don't just disappear in the middle of normal life. Something changes, something happens, something or someone shifts the course. And in Sam's case, that moment remains invisible. Investigators began looking beyond physical evidence. They looked at behavior, patterns, mindset. What kind of person was Sam? Really? Was there something internal that people didn't see? Something he didn't talk about? Or was the danger entirely external? Friends insisted his behavior before the trip was normal. No signs of fear, no urgency, no emotional distress. But normal doesn't always mean safe. Sometimes people carry things quietly. Sometimes they make decisions that only make sense to them. And sometimes they trust the wrong situation. There were inconsistencies, small ones, details that didn't fully align, information that felt incomplete. And sometimes it's not about what you find. It's about what's missing. In Sam's case, there was a lot missing. Clear direction, clear motive, clear outcome, which meant one thing. The truth wasn't obvious. And when truth isn't obvious, it's usually hidden. Investigators explored every angle. Voluntary disappearance, accidental harm, foul play. Each theory had problems. If he left willingly, why no trace? No financial activity, no communication, no preparation. If it was an accident, where is the evidence? No confirmed location, no physical clues, no witnesses. If someone was involved, where are the signs? No struggle, no forced interaction, no clear suspect. Every path led somewhere, but never far enough. And that's where cases like this become unsettling. Because when answers don't exist, the human mind starts creating them. People begin to fill the gaps with assumptions, with theories, with fear. Tips came in, possible sightings, unverified reports, fragments of hope, but nothing held, nothing solid. Each lead faded the same way it appeared, quickly, quietly, leaving more questions behind. Time passed, days turned into weeks, weeks turned into something harder to measure. Because when you're waiting for answers, time doesn't move normally. It stretches, it lingers, it repeats. And with time, something else began to fade. Attention. In today's world, not every case becomes a headline. Some disappear quietly, even when the person didn't. Sam Nordquist became one of those cases, important to those who knew him, almost invisible to everyone else. And that creates a different kind of pressure. Because when attention fades, so do leads, so does urgency, so does the chance that someone who knows something decides to speak. What if someone did see something? What if someone noticed something unusual that didn't feel important at the time? What if someone remembers now, but isn't sure if it matters? What if the key moment has already happened, and it was missed? At the center of this case is a simple but haunting reality. A person with no clear reason to disappear. Disappeared. No evidence of struggle, no confirmed direction, no closure, just a timeline that ends too early, and a story that refuses to finish. For those who knew Sam, life didn't stop. But it changed. Every unanswered question became part of daily thought. Every memory carried a different weight. Conversations became different, quieter, more careful. Because no one knows what to say when there are no answers. Because when someone disappears without explanation, you don't just lose them. You lose the ability to understand what happened, and that uncertainty never fully leaves. Somewhere there is an answer. Someone knows something, a detail, a moment, a decision. Something that explains why Sam Nordquist never made it back. But until that truth surfaces, this case exists in a space between reality and mystery, where facts end and questions begin. And maybe the most unsettling part of all is this: Sam didn't vanish in darkness. He vanished in the middle of an ordinary life, in a moment that probably felt completely normal. And sometimes, that's exactly what makes a disappearance impossible to understand, because it reminds us of something we don't want to believe: that the line between normal life and mystery is thinner than we think. If this case made you think, take a moment and share your perspective in the comments. What do you believe happened to Sam Nordquist? Sometimes a single observation, even from someone watching, can bring attention to details others may have missed. If you care about real unsolved cases like this, consider subscribing to the channel. We focus on real investigations, missing person cases, and mysteries that deserve more attention. Leaving a like helps this case reach more people. And in cases like these, visibility matters more than anything. Because the more people who see it, the higher the chance that someone, somewhere, remembers something important. And if you want more real true crime cases from across the United States, stay with us.